Look where we are. We've made it far. The overgrowth is breaking apart. Step by step, don't rush ahead. Winter's kind. She gives you breath. We will come. For now you're numb. Take my hand. Keep looking up.
Day 2, DRG, Special, ByuN, RagnaroK, Hurricane, GSL Season 1, Code A. Africa TV, Freak Up Studio, live. LG Ultra Gear and Hot 6, 2021, GSL Season 1.
All right, we are back. We're ready to go. We just wrapped up an extremely short best of 3 where DRG basically smashing Special. Special brought a series of different timing attacks in here, trying to do something to curb the progress of DRG early on, and it didn't work. And now we go to a TVT here, Kira versus ByuN.
Yeah. I think this one will be a little bit closer.
I hope so.
Seems like a good match. ByuN, of course, has been in pretty darn good shape lately inside the game. Outside, not as much. His wrists have had some issues. We're going to have to see how those are feeling today, because oftentimes he does have to like pause the game and everything and kind of go like,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of sad
Guys,
to see. But
do your stretches.
yeah.
It's the injuries that your body can take from playing games are real. So, I mean, I don't know what his condition is today, but hopefully he's okay.
Yeah, I hope it's not bothering him today, because when it's not bothering him, he is actually like top tier.
But we've seen him literally
like,
playing very well, and then it starts and it goes down so fast.
Yeah, remember against Dark? Wasn't he up 2-0, and then like his wrist just basically exploded and he lost 0-3, and it was like he was smashing Dark before that too.
It was rough, man. Kira, I'm not really sure exactly where Kira's at, so to speak.
Yeah.
This is a kind of a hard one to predict ahead of time, because ByuN has had such ups and downs, and Kira's looking pretty good. I don't think he's really...
He looked very good last year in general. This last Super Tournament, though, he played the worst series I've casted in years.
That's right.
Against Parting, it was like...
He got wrecked.
It was bad.
The thing is, sometimes these guys have bad days. Could be that really his skill has fallen off. I don't know. It's always a little bit tricky. We have a lot of downtime here in Korea to kind of come back into this and know exactly where some of these guys are, at least for GSL level play. But, yeah, I'm curious. I hope this is a longer series. We had a very, very short start here. It's been under an hour. We've been live.
Yeah.
Commercials, intros, interviews, and games total. So
Code A has been kind of one-sided so far.
Yeah. So here's what we've had so far and the rest of the schedule here tonight.
Yeah, these next 2 matches I think will be pretty good. I thought DRG Special was going to be real good. Yeah, unfortunately DRG did smash though. Do you have a prediction, Kira versus ByuN? I think ByuN's going to take it. Let me just take that. I was only asking you a question because I wanted you to ask me the question.
I actually will have a better idea when I see how they play in game 1. Again, I don't know if ByuN has wrist problems or not. We got in here and he wasn't here yet, so I couldn't ask him. But, yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Kind of a blank slate for this cast, Artosis.
Indeed.
But look, Kira's been a great player. He's had a lot of moments where he's looked extremely strong, but he is one of these guys that's been a little bit overshadowed by these other players here. But definitely a GSL fixture, as is ByuN.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
It is weird seeing all these players in Code A, by the way.
Yeah,
at least for
so
how
few people made it through. Like only 8 people made it directly to Code S.
The old Code A was like another GSL Code S or something that filtered into this, and so.
Yeah.
But we wanted to bring this back in this tournament because, and I think it was a good decision by the staff and the people that are in charge of the show. Is basically like the last year's GSL and once before, like everything like round of 16 or round of 24, it was getting a little bit too repetitive. To have different phases of tournaments and different ways that goes, like having to have a best of 5 to come in here to plan. Then you get thrown into the group stage, I think makes this more interesting.
No, I think that this is better. Like round of 32 or round of 24, the different various ways that we've tried. Like with the constricting of the Korean scene,
yeah,
there was too many groups where it was like you'd go in and you're like, I already know exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah, there were definitely round of 32 groups where it's like we know what's probably going to happen, so let's let it play out, and 4 hours later we get exactly what we expected.
Yeah.
Where I think a best of 5 is oftentimes more interesting.
Yeah, I agree.
And
I agree.
I think also having a different label for a lower tier player or a lower part in that tournament is more important as well.
Yeah.
Guys, our game's ready. TBC, here versus
2021
ByuN.
GSL Season 1.
Let's go.
We stood at the edge of the world, seized the stakes. We're living a life like
42-42. A lot of matches.
Yeah, this is different than the special
Dragon
DRG score.
Phoenix Gaming. Cure. Shopify Rebellion. ByuN.
Yeah, big cheers, by the way, to Shopify for making a pro team and obviously doing so much within the scene. Awesome to see. Picking up some great players. Of course, ByuN. One of the biggest fan favorites I think we've ever had in StarCraft 2.
People love him. I mean, he's got a lot of charisma. He was one of the players that became one of the best in the world by sheer control. He would take fights and win. And this is a little bit different from like, because I know we sometimes highlight Parting as another player like that. Parting had a lot of specific timing attacks where he controlled well and won. ByuN would just take these weird fights that most people wouldn't win, and he'd win them so heavily, it was kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Reapers, Marauders, the way he controlled Marines and Medevacs.
I like the way that you're describing it because he was a micro-based champion, which is not something that you get very often. It's very rare that you have a player that can out-control everyone so much that they become the world champion, right? Like, it's almost always solid macro play that ends up on top at the end. And normally it's earlier on that you're more likely to get the micro players to come out on top with championships because the game isn't as mapped out, right?
Yeah.
Like, eventually your macro becomes good enough that microing just well enough that you don't screw up your lead with macro is how it's actually done a lot of the time.
like a micro in the game is supposed to be a thing inside that is one way to allow yourself to get ahead and express your play. But what was crazy about ByuN is it was kind of like Moon in Warcraft 3 where like he'd just get in these fights and you'd watch and be like, whoa, wait a minute, you know, and he'd come out ahead and then win another one and another. And it did become a game that was less about, oh, like he's going to hit when this upgrade's done or this and that, and more so that he basically just would get in these skirmishes and come out on top. But ByuN's had ups and downs, right?
Yeah. Well,
This guy's a world champion, and then he's had games where he's not played well, I would say, just in general. And then there's now this issue with the wrist.
you know, honestly, like when ByuN was world champion, like it was really exciting, really cool. Everyone loves him because he always has his heart on his sleeve and plays with a lot of emotion, really cares about it and stuff. And people like that, you know, that's something you love to see. But honestly, like he dropped off a little bit after that, but then eventually, right before he went to the military, it felt like he was really rebuilding his play and was looking pretty good. But then went to the military, and honestly, now that he's back, I actually think he's a more complete player than he's ever been right now.
Yeah, I would actually agree with that too.
Yeah, he actually, a lot of his transitions, his macro, all these things look to me to be better than they were when he was world champion. And not just because the overall level has gone up, because it has, and he would be better right now regardless, but the way that he plays just seems overall a more balanced approach.
I agree with that. I think everybody's getting better, right? But he definitely looks like a more complete player.
Yeah, he does. He does. It's quite a pleasure watching him currently. Well, you know, we did see Kira get that fast expand up, put that bunker down immediately. Here comes ByuN. Let's see what he can get done. He's got a funny looking little set of units, and that's what he likes.
Yeah, he's going to be looking to come up here and have a little bit of an engagement. You know, the Viking's actually a pretty good choice here by Kira because it really nullifies any advantages you can have with that medevac.
Totally.
You can overcommit into the main, but then you better win the fight there or you're going to lose anyways. And so it kind of stops ByuN from the micro stuff that he's been known to be so good at.
So true. The 4 unstimmed Marines are not going to fight off the Viking adequately, so he just turns around. Good choice. Might have been a time where he would have gone after that and be like, you know what? These 4 Marines can kill that off.
Yeah.
But Kira looking pretty solid. Both sides getting a Raven. Some tanks and whatnot. Kira just slightly ahead as far as that economy goes. He did get that command center down pretty quickly.
Yeah, partially because ByuN was looking for some kind of an opportunity, but I think the Viking, especially against him, was a good decision to get.
Yeah, it really did pay off there because that, like, ByuN wanted to do something with that little group of units, and I guarantee you he could have gotten something done if there wasn't a Viking there. You know, it doesn't even have to be that much. Just some harassment, kill a depot or something, you know, a couple SCVs, and suddenly we have a much more even game, right? Here we have Kiri's, like, basically consistently sitting up 5 workers, and that means that everything for him should get a little bit ahead, unless ByuN can get in here and mix it up.
So we've got that push coming out now here from ByuN. Looking for a moment that they can try to come in here. Get an attack in the front, and this is happening as there's a small drop that's looping around the side of the map. Now, I think it's possible Kira can still take this fight, but let's see. I mean, we don't normally see 2-base pushing another 2-baser, but here we are. A scan as the tanks leave.
Oh my god.
Oh, this actually is a great fight right now for ByuN.
Oh man, with those auto turrets as well, pushes him so far back. A defensive auto turret does go down. He pulls his tanks back, just way out of position there, but Kira does get a drop off. Unfortunately, does get that picked off as well. And this is a sick attack from
He's
ByuN.
going to dive in as the tanks are sieging up. Another auto turret comes down. The tanks can't stay alive long enough. And he's going to get that second one. There's still 2 siege tanks back here doing so much damage. The Vikings may have to land.
Yeah, but he unsieges. He knows exactly what's going on. So he'll trade as well as is humanly possible here.
Even though this is being chased away, 21 workers here for Kira have been killed off. And so the battle has definitely been won here for ByuN. And the follow-up attack could be even stronger.
Dude, he smashed with that. But Kira did make a little bit of a misplay, right? He was going for a drop. I'm sure his units must have seen it. I think they were on a move command down that ramp. Because, like, he was there before those tanks siege. Then ByuN is like, oh my god, and sieges his tanks and gets the sickest engagement there with the auto turrets. Like, oh. Kira took so much damage. He is really far behind. And there you go. You know, we were talking about how he was a good 5 workers up. His supply was starting to balloon a bit quicker than ByuN's. But now that he's taken all that damage, ByuN in very good shape. Now, the one thing I can say about Kira that I actually quite like here, he's made quite a few Vikings, right? So he's going to have air control, which means that he'll play a slower game, which he needs to because he already took a bunch of damage.
Yeah.
But having air dominance helps out a lot, right? Your siege tanks kind of win the battles.
Yeah, you can't just be dropped upon immediately, but having the tank advantage is important as well here, right? I mean, you can basically win those ground fights, and I think he's going to come out here, and I think this is less a push onto the 2 bases of Kira and more a pressure play to keep him on 2 and stop him from taking the 3rd. And you can see right here, this is where a Terran would want to expand, and now he can't do it. And the growth rate is going to spike here for ByuN. He's getting his minerals and gas saturated at the 3rd. He can kick into more production facilities here. And this game is going to become way too one-sided here if Kira can't do something pretty quickly. Unless, of course, ByuN is to overextend and throw it as advantage. Excuse me.
And it's possible, but he is looking really strong. He's got his 1-1 now. Kira will have his finish momentarily. And Kier actually adding in a couple Liberators, which I do love to see. He's going to be able to push through here and actually take his additional bases. Now, multiple turrets going up. ByuN going to try to boost over, but 2 turrets done. He is going to get punished for that.
Yeah, losing the medevac with the tank in it, and now just going to have a smaller drop over here. Now he can start to kill workers again. Keep in mind that, you know, already there was a pretty big worker lead for ByuN, and that's going to continue here. It is a bit of a loss losing 2 medevacs, including 1 tank, and that may mean this position here is perhaps a bit too squishy, but ByuN, I think, intelligently so realizes it's better, especially with Liberators here, to pick up. Oh, I was going to say and run away, but he's just going to set up again here.
Just buying himself a little bit of time here on that containment, but Kier will be able to push through it.
Yeah, Liberator's able to pick off tanks.
Really nice lock on with that Cyclone from ByuN.
Yeah,
really
it's
nice.
Really smart, actually, because the Cyclone will just beat the Liberator, and the same problem the tank has against the Liberator as the tank tries to unsiege and get away. The Liberator has the same problem against the Cyclone. So it's funny back and forth there. So Kier gets his 3rd base up, but it happens the same time that it looks like the 4th base is about to finish here for ByuN. So ByuN basically 1 step ahead. I mean,
totally.
ByuN took his advantage. He's playing it out very nicely.
Hey, just look at the production tab quick.
Yeah. 2 depots versus everything being made in the game.
Yeah, all the upgrades, all the different buildings and types of
Yeah.
units.
Well, that's the payoff from having that 3rd base more quickly. What's funny is a little while ago, it looked the other way around, where the rest of the buildings are being filled in here for Kier as the 3rd base is being taken there. But yeah, I mean, ByuN is looking pretty big, pretty unstoppable. And this is all going to come down to the defense here of the 3rd. Now, there's a push down here at the bottom, but north of this is there another push as well. And so there may just be enough angles here that Kier can't quite withstand pressure from all sides.
Well, they're having a bit of a scuffle up there. Kier going to end up maybe lose that take. Ooh, just going to pick it up. But ByuN closing in on all sides right now.
Yeah, and if he can, it doesn't even have to be a push into the 3rd now. It could be him getting siege mode over the area that traffic comes out of the natural to the 3rd. There's another push coming in here, so there's going to be 3 different positions that are set up here. There's got to be a soft spot somewhere.
Well, it seems like Kier is holding on well so far. Still has a massive air advantage with 8 Vikings against 0. Not as many Marines, same amount of siege tanks.
Oh, kind of a weird play there. Scan sees the tanks and the Marines as well and decides to try to stim in for a second. But yeah, he has not really, despite having higher numbers, I guess really that air advantage is the thing, like you were saying, but not been able to punish him further. But at the same time, ByuN is getting further and further ahead, which is another problem here.
Yeah, continuing to just take so many bases. He's up in upgrades right now as well. Looking really good, but, you know, Kier, well, let's see if he holds on here. A big stim in from ByuN. Is it enough to break through everything? It looks like, yes, it is. Stimming down those siege tanks so quickly.
GG.
Yeah, pretty dominating game there from ByuN.
Yeah, well, ByuN, it was a funny attack over there, wasn't it? You know, it was 2 base versus 2 base, and he came in a 2nd time. He got the siege tanks up. And
Kier was moving his army, and it's like he was looking elsewhere because he was about to do a drop up in the main.
Yeah.
But I don't know where his screen was, but it certainly was not looking at the mini-map there, and it certainly wasn't looking at his army. So,
and when you're put in a position like that, he was able to first of all get the siege tank sieged up and do damage, but he spammed out 2 auto turrets. He killed the tanks. And, I mean, from there...
he's had to be pulled, so it was like, oh, you're really far behind now.
Yeah, and then from there, ByuN just played out his hand.
Yeah.
Just kept the advantage. He never overextended. He put the Terran into a lot of uncomfortable spots. Even if you don't see the Terran taking damage, like in the spot that Kier was, Kier's uncomfortable. He really wants to get out of there and be able to move around. Yeah. We're going to go to our 2nd map. It's going to be Death or Kier versus ByuN, Game 2 in this best of 5.
2021 GSL Season 1.
We stood at the edge of the world. Seize the stakes.
Dragon Phoenix Gaming, Cure, Shopify Rebellion, ByuN.
And action. Do you think ByuN is going to continue to dominate here? Or is Kier going to come back, Artie?
Well, I would be kind of surprised if Kier can't take a game, because I think Kier does have some pretty damn solid TVT overall. But I do favor ByuN here. You know, as long as his wrists don't act up on him, he's really, I mean, he's back, you know? He's one of the horsemen, that's it. He's that good.
Yeah, I agree. I also don't feel like the first game is what the other games should look like. That's actually extremely rare. Two players both teching into Ravens on 2-base, and one pushes the other one, and then the guy that pushes the other one like gets the head.
Well, yeah.
That's on paper not supposed to happen.
It was simply a mistake from Kier. If Kier is looking at it as that happens, they have a little skirmish. Maybe it's a slight edge one way or the other, but it's not lose 21 SCVs type of damage ever in that situation. So it was definitely a mistake, but that being said, like, ByuN is on top of things right now. He has looked fantastic, and I think we'll continue to do so.
Factories both coming along here. Quiet early game in this TVT.
Yeah, nothing to write home about as of yet. Command center coming up, both sides.
Yeah, again, the builds are mirrored, at least so far here. Reaper's coming out now, each side getting a Hellion.
Yeah, the Reaper Hellion, pretty standard stuff.
I am glad we're getting to the phase in StarCraft 2's history, Korea-wise, where we're having players who have been extremely dominant, then do their military service, then come back out and get to play.
Yeah, it's
because there was
nice.
a lot of. I mean, this is, I guess, is just people talking online in general, but it's so true in StarCraft and in esports is you know, armchair philosophers and experts on this that, you know, there was a whole thing of people saying you couldn't possibly leave the game and come back and catch up to where everybody is because everybody else is still playing, or that as you get older you can't be good, or I don't know, all this weird stuff, and I'm happy to see that a lot of it is just getting debunked over time.
It is nice to see. I want to see these players return. We haven't had someone come out of the military and win a championship yet.
Yeah.
For GSL, I think it will happen. I think
so.
Someone's going to do it.
We've got plenty of time.
ByuN is actually probably the front runner for that, right? I
probably.
think so.
Okay, so he's going to use this Reaper to bait out the first mine shot. Now again, it's some of the same ideas as before. You can imagine two players doing almost the exact same thing, one attacking into the other and it working. Well, fusion core, cool.
Very cool. Didn't really expect that. All right, mine goes down. Kier continue to try to attack into ByuN here. I'm excited about this build. Let's see it, man.
This is pretty novel here from Kier.
BC Rush hit it to the side.
Well, let's keep in mind they've both been going Reapers here, getting a good amount, and then Hellions. So there's not a lot of anti-air being developed here. I mean, Marines are going to come into play no matter what, as our we've got Cyclones coming here, but a battle cruiser really is on another level as far as air units go, you know?
I'm excited to see it, like what he's gonna get done. Third command center coming up for ByuN.
Seems like we're gonna have a push in a second here. Oh, actually, never mind. He's gonna chill for a little bit here, and we're eventually gonna have that battle cruiser come out here. We want to see what kind of damage it can do. I think ByuN could be pretty susceptible to this. What do you think?
Yeah, I think oh my God, he's actually getting Cyclone Lockoff down. This is kind of a strange build from Kier. I'm trying to think if I've seen this before. But yeah, like, I mean, there's a few things you can do. If you have enough anti-air, like you could disable the BC so it can't jump away, something like that. But the fact that he's focusing on Cyclones along with it, I find kind of interesting from Kier, right?
Yeah.
Another
Yeah.
BC on the way.
Okay, so here comes the push. Now, this is an awkward moment, or soon to be an awkward moment here for ByuN, because he's going to be all the way across the map. Now, Cure had to invest quite a bit into the BC, but where is the BC going to be exactly? Is he going to just TP into the main? Because there is going to be some real muscle here from ByuN, so he's going to slowly move across the map and save the TP for later on.
Yeah, I think he's got to do it that way. And look at that. The Cyclone locks on immediately, so that's a ton of damage, but it's going to take several lock-ons to actually kill a BC.
Right. So the SCVs are evacuated. He's going to... Actually, the Cyclone's doing better against the BC than I ever thought it would really do, but it's going to take time. He's going to bring it back home, and I got to say, I think we probably were expecting more damage from Cure here.
Well, he's continuing to make the BC, so it's like a long-term investment. If your opponent, like, a lot of times we do see that Cyclone, so we saw it there, and, you know, a couple lock-ons later, it's the BC has to get out. But now he's going to have multiple BCs. He can fly across, do it again. It is a mech build coming out of Cure. No big surprise there. This isn't Terran versus Zerg, so you're probably not going BC into Bio.
This is getting fun.
You know, the Ravens, though, really can shut down BCs. That is definitely something that you can see if you just disable it and kill it before that disable's done. That's going to be rough.
Yeah, and
It's a
usually
very expensive unit gone.
the BC has to get deeper inside the main to really do the damage. But look at this small attack over here from Cure hitting the third base. A lot of SCVs are going to be picked off. But now ByuN comes up here to chase this out.
Yeah, he does do the disable and uses another one. Actually, that next one was a little bit quick, I thought, but
a little bit premature.
he might have to use a third one to make sure he gets it. Oh, he actually targeted his own Raven
was
there.
funny.
And he does use the third disable, so I guess if you were going to use a third disable anyways, that's fine.
This is like trying to take down a Rhino.
I know.
All right.
God.
Okay. He gets the kill on that. And I'll tell you, man, you know, I'm more used to BCs, of course, being used, especially in early game against the Zerg, so it's funny to see that it's much more manageable against a Terran. I mean, it's a threat.
Well, yeah, early on, it's kind of peculiar because you normally do have some Ravens early on. The Cyclone is not an odd unit early on.
Right.
Making Vikings early on, not everyone does it, but it can be a very good move.
It's something you could even expect from some players coming in. So
now, late game TVT, absolutely. Like late game TVT can naturally grow into BCs as a great unit. But yeah, this early game, they haven't been that impactful from Cure, but he continues to make them, right? Like how many did he make? 3 total? And he has Yamato, so like, it's unfortunate that he did lose that one. But with the Yamato, he's probably still going to gain value overall with them.
okay, we've got the push continuing here. This is something ByuN was trying to set up a while ago here, and it's now finally coming forward. Now there's more tanks here for ByuN. There are tanks coming out now for Cure, but there are more Vikings and everything else here, so it's kind of like the air and the tank combo is real. There's going to be more BCs, but BC is sort of a technical unit in this situation. He's going to come back here into the main, and he can start gunning down tech labs or whatever he chooses.
Yeah, just going to get some SCVs flying over, killing anything that he can right now. He wants there to be a response here, actually, from ByuN.
Yeah, now ByuN seems to only be doubling down now on his attack. He's going to dive into the main. I don't see much here. He's going to warp in underneath that.
Yeah, and look at this. He's kind of flanking from the low ground there. Is he going to be able to take out all of these Marines? It does look like it. That BC does end up falling. But was that good enough for ByuN?
I mean, he's not actually killing anything here that's of significance. I mean, you can trade army here. He's not killing SCVs. He didn't kill any important buildings. He's going to be able to Yamato gun down even one of the fleeing medevacs. I don't think this game is over, but certainly Cure is, I would say, at a pretty healthy advantage.
That seemed not good for ByuN, right? He took damage in the main. He tried a very strong counterplay.
Yeah.
But the warp home on top of it was really, really strong. I mean, BCs have a lot of armor. The Marines just did not kill them quickly enough.
You can trade BCs in an army like that if you're not going to lose any buildings or anything else. Now, that being said, ByuN is going to push out yet again. ByuN is getting his 4th up a little bit more quickly here than we're seeing from Cure.
And you need to, because you're on Bio against Mech, so he needs that extra economy right now. And I think that, like, we're going to see some scuffles and everything, but I think the game will slow down a little bit here. And my next question, if that's the case, if ByuN doesn't just like stim and run up the ramp and lose his whole army, is like, does ByuN go into mass siege tanks, or is he going to leapfrog all the way up into Sky Terran?
Yeah.
Because that's like kind of your choices. You can try to, well, you can go like pure bio the whole time, but you should eventually die to someone who's turtling well. But other than that, it's like, okay, are we just going to jump up and suddenly have a bunch of Vikings, or you know, obviously you can get into BC, Viking, Liberator, that type of thing.
Okay, here we go. The Vikings coming in here now. One Yamato's going to go off, and that's going to be the end of that. A kill there on the battlecruiser, and I would imagine he's probably going to regroup here in a second. Now, I will say Kira's pretty much set up himself in a good spot here. He's got his sensor towers out.
Yeah.
The battlecruisers have served their job. They've basically been a very good distraction. And now with these kills on the SCVs, this is insane. About to be 30 kills.
Yeah, that is that's some darn good harassment right there, really, especially against the guy that just added 3 barracks to really focus on bio play. If you're adding barracks at this type of time, you're wanting to kind of flood some bio and hit multiple locations, like kind of be all over the map. So to kill some of those SCVs for such a low investment of Hellions is super, super strong.
Yeah, I mean, the Hellions have no other purpose right now than to go try to kill workers. And when you get that many, it's absolutely paid for itself. Now, ByuN is still pushing back out here. And by the way, if ByuN takes this, which isn't impossible, I'm going to be so impressed.
Oh, if he wins this game, yeah, that
Because
will be impressive.
a lot of things have gone very well here for Kira.
Yeah. Oh, I like the game for Cure right now, for sure. You know, they're both hitting max and everything, but we're like, Mech can just be very, very efficient, and we don't see ByuN getting ready as of yet to switch tech at all. And that can be an issue.
Well, here comes some
man.
more Hellions, and I don't see anything here to defend. The SCVs are being pulled away.
Blue flame.
ByuN is actually pushing up. He's just on the edge right now of the lower sensor circle here on the map, sensor tower circle.
And I think part of the problem is with those sensor towers, we've seen Kier mirroring a lot of the army movement. He's just kind of keeping his groups on the high ground close to where ByuN's army is. So if ByuN tries to make a move, he can siege up and he's already there waiting. Just some really good awareness here from Kier. He's defending beautifully. And ByuN continues to just pump out that bio, moving across the map.
Okay, pushing in here. Getting lots of damage, and now let's see how Kier's going to be. I mean, he's got the mech comp here, right? It's almost impossible for infantry to push through that many siege tanks in siege mode, but, you know, mobility is on ByuN's side here, and he does have more of the map that's basically his area to roam. So,
But how do you... I feel like ByuN right now is waiting for Kier to make a move so that he can kill the army. Because he can't get in. And as long as...
Hold on, here we go.
Here it is, here's the
Sieging
moment.
up, maybe a little bit too late. Oh my God, this angle here is insane for ByuN. He comes in here and wipes out what was most of this game's hard work building up siege tanks, getting every single one.
And the second he overextends there, the punishment is real.
This is not a game where the story is in the supply. This is the game. This is a story about, you know, where the tech is. And Marines and Marauders are remade very easily. Tanks, quite the opposite. And so he comes in there with a clean wipe, does so much damage, can regroup, can continue to grow, although he hasn't done that yet, but it's available, and tech into Sky Terran.
Yeah, it's a great time to switch as well, because when you reset that many tanks, you said it really well that he's been spending the whole game building that up. And so to lose like a ByuN pause, that's not a good sign, but to lose like that many tanks, Kier has to pretty much remake. Now, he might start skewing towards Sky Terran himself after he refreshes some. Yeah, we'll see what is up with ByuN here.
Whoa. I just want to know what it is.
I think it's his wrist, man. I think so.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Yeah, we'll find out in a minute here, guys. I'll let you know.
Thing is we have a certain number of pauses we allow for, but mean, TVT is a pretty long matchup.
Yeah, it is.
And it's a best of 5, of course. I mean, TVT is not always long, but you guys know what I'm saying. Best of 5 TVT is a long one. And it's possible we're not even close to halfway through, by the way. We don't know when this game's going to end.
Oh, yeah.
We don't know who's going to win. It looks like it's ByuN, but we don't know, and I'm sure the painful wrist doesn't help.
ByuN smashed game 1, and after that gigantic flank upon Kier's army, Kier was out of position for like just a couple seconds, and ByuN smashed the army. So, and the thing is, he set himself up for that. So, like, he's playing a very nice series so far. He's definitely got the lead. He's jumping up into that Sky Terran, like you said, like not quite yet, but he's getting the starports for it.
Yeah.
So it does.
So ByuN's requested a 3-minute break.
Okay.
But I will just go ahead and put myself out there and say this is a very bad sign in general for him.
Yes.
In a best of 5.
When he has to do this, he does start playing worse.
Not only that, but I mean, a best of 5 can go for like over 2 hours. Okay, I mean, that's not...
It's possible.
In 3 minutes of downtime, I mean, granted, we have the commercial break. No, we don't, I guess, actually, because of the way the format of Code A is we go game. Yeah, so we just keep banging it out. So, excuse me. 3 minutes.
Well, hopefully he can get some relief during that time. Kind of makes you worry about him. I mean, this guy is so passionate about the game, absolutely loves it, practices his heart out.
Well, and phenomenal player. I mean, inspirational, really.
He's one of the best ever. I mean, he's a world champion. And the thing is, he's done it all as a very emotional player, which is an uncommon thing within the Korean scene. I think this is one of the reasons he has so many fans. A bunch of the Korean players that have the most fans ever, like him and Marine King, are the more emotional ones.
Yeah.
But he's done what Marine King never could. He's an actual champion. Right, Marine King is like a silver surfer, whereas ByuN is like, okay, a world champion, a GSL champ, like a total killer. All right, looks like that is
back
just
on.
about done.
And I don't know what we do. I mean, I never, with situations like this, because we didn't have many of these in the early days, or actually we never really had these in the early days of GSL, but I don't know what the rules are, if he needs to pause again, or what it is. You know what I mean? I don't.
It's tough. You know, wrist issues are a real thing within StarCraft and you know, multiple esports, but especially amongst StarCraft Terran players, this is something that has plagued the best in the world. MVP eventually had, like, we don't know what MVP could have done if his wrist didn't give out, because he actually switched his entire style into mech, which wasn't even a thing back then.
Yeah, just because it was slower.
Yeah, and he was still able to win championships at that point, but it seemed like he was starting to drop off, right? And then, I mean, you have Tasia had huge wrist problems for a bit. Of course, Flash had some gigantic surgeries that he had to undergo.
And he's experiencing some pain right now.
That's right. Flash dropped out of the ASL season here.
After
getting top 4 with random, he's taken a season off because of wrist issues.
Wants to rest.
Or I think it's technically his shoulder, but you know, these are all...
Yeah, but I mean, it's all connected, right?
It's all in the arm.
Yeah.
And the arm's on the body. Okay. So Kier has maxed out again, and he is pushing forward. ByuN going to trade as best he can. It's not as good as an engagement as before, though, so it does get pushed back.
You see Kier is very quickly remaxed out here. Now, he's driven him away, but this is a lot of map to traverse to get over to ByuN's side here.
It really is, and ByuN has multiple things he can do. He can bring up more units to try to flank that army, as it might get out of position or not be sieged at the right time. He can try to do a counterattack. Notice Kier scanning over here as he enters into that center tower range. A great defensive setup from Kier, and he does continue to move forward. I think ByuN needs to bring his entire army to beat what Kier has in the center and switch into Sky Terran. I think that's an important moment for him.
Both going around here. A base trade is also possible. Okay, he's going to go for it.
Ooh, I don't know.
Too much over there. This army can actually end up getting sandwiched here as well.
He's going to stim and run away from that stuff. Very hard, though. You know, Terran mech just gets so scary in big groups. You can see how quickly he gets destroyed right there. Vikings taking down that medevac. ByuN's supply dropping off a little bit. He doesn't have enough forward groups to threaten an attack, so Kier continues to push forward. This is going to be very tough. Kier's attack looks fearsome.
Yeah, and here doesn't have that much more land to cover here to get down to this base that we're looking at right now. But this
here's that flank.
this is insane. And this should be a win here for ByuN. I mean, the angles are just too good, especially with Marauders firing down at these siege tanks. It looks like there's barely going to be enough to clean this up on the ground here.
Another beautiful flank from ByuN, though. He set it up. It took a while to get that position, but he threw down some disables. He brought his Marauders in a gigantic flank from two sides. And once again, Kier has to mass up.
And you're seeing, you know, the thing about Terran mech army is the damage is so profound when it comes out, and the range is so huge that, you know, you can end up killing stuff before it even gets a chance to fire back at you. But you have to have these tanks in siege mode, right? And, you know, we all know the animation it takes to siege or unsiege is enough time for stimmed Marauders to come in, you know, in between the cracks. Where there isn't firing, and then get those shots off. And, yeah, I mean, it's been excellently played here by ByuN.
But I do have to say, I think that Kier is playing really well right now. This doesn't look to me, what we're seeing from ByuN, to be like losing because your wrists hurt. This seems to me to be like Kier very quickly moving forward and being very efficient against this army. It's not like ByuN can micro more with these units.
Right.
Once the tanks are siege, there's only so much. You stim, you spread, you do some stutter step in, and that's about it. But Kier with some fantastic upgrades, really good macro, and just consistent pushing forward. Now, there are a decent amount of Ravens being made for ByuN, but not a real switch into Sky Terran. And even if he tried, I love that we actually see Kier mixing in a few mines and then some Thors as well. So you can't just go into Viking Liberator here, which we sometimes see people do against mech out of bio. So ByuN is kind of forced in this funny position where I think he needs to go across the map and attack locations where the army is more sparse.
I think you're probably right about
like
that.
there.
I do want to point out that, I mean, Kier is actually growing pretty quick here on the map as well. He is matching ByuN and what ByuN has in map presence.
It's hard, though, to keep all your bases safe with mech because you need a critical mass to fight the bio.
Right.
But then, like, how are you going to have these bases set up? If you don't have a planetary, it's very hard to defend a base against bio. Another big flank coming out from ByuN. Some coming from the high ground as well. I think, okay, with another group coming from the left side, maybe he can break it. No, just barely not. His medevac's getting shredded from the Viking Thor. A lot of really hurt bio here. No tanks there. Might be time to stim forward and get your damage.
And now he's going to rotate again. I mean, he's doing a good job with these pushes here. It's tricky because it really is important that ByuN has the next couple of attacks go his way here, or there's going to be too much ground that can be covered here. We're kind of seeing that now. Now the Terran's in a position, I should say Kier's in a position with his mech army, yeah, that he can start to kill off each of these remaining bases. And I don't, look, I'm just going to say it, I think part of that turning point was the wrist. It seemed like after he won that, even though it's hard for us to fully capture all the things that he's doing with his hands and how fast he's playing, but it did seem like he was in a pretty good spot after killing the mech army.
Well, the strategy that he was using here, though, in my opinion, is a little bit flawed. Like, he is looking for Kier to get out of position so he can bust the army. And that did occur once, but he remained on that comp. Like, I actually feel like what went wrong for ByuN here is the early harassment from Kier. When his SCV count was reduced, he was never able to really bank up money. I think what he really needed was his economy to be unhindered so that he could switch into Sky Terran at an appropriate time. Here it felt like he was shoehorned into staying on bio the whole time because he took that damage. Like, he added 3 Raxes, then lost a bunch of SCVs. So that was a very telling moment, I think, in this game.
2021
All right, Game 3 on Oxide. Let's do
GSL
this.
Season 1.
We stood at the edge of the world. Seize the stakes.
Dragon Phoenix Gaming. Cure. Shopify Rebellion. ByuN.
So it's tied up 1-1. I think if I was Cure, I feel like I would lean towards mech for this series. Because
Just draw the game out.
There is this thing, there's like, stylistically, watching some players against mech, I think stylistically play incorrectly. Like, I think it's okay to be on bio against mech for a certain amount of time. I think it's tough, but you can do it, right? And if mech missteps, you have more opportunities to kill them than they have to kill you. But as the game prolongs, it becomes very hard. And if you're not really versed in doing things like switching into Sky Terran, that's where it's like, okay, well, look at what Cure did there. He just very carefully mirrored the army for a little bit, and eventually he just starts moving forward. He has 3/3 mech, and your stuff evaporates as it attacks in.
Yeah, well, I think also when you're going mech, you know, a player like ByuN, he wants to actually engage with you constantly. That's how he wins. He's having moments when his units can get close to yours or run away or drop. And, you know, one of the features about playing mech correctly, especially early on, is you're just, you're a stone wall. And if they get too close to anywhere that's your territory, siege tank shots connect and obliterate infantry. And so, I mean, it's not like ByuN was blindly running into that, but he also wasn't able to take, I think advantage of the way that he's played and succeeded before. You know, he's kind of, I mean, especially against mech, you don't get a lot of options to just do whatever you want against that. Mm-hmm. You're kind of playing by the rules. It's one of the things that makes mech so hard, and especially with weaker players, they'll just run into stuff and lose everything. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I mean, I think ByuN looked good, and I think he got a great flank over there, but especially after the first big successful attack by ByuN, it did seem like Cure was not shaken. He managed to inch in over and over, and eventually he got far enough that one base fell, and ByuN saw the rest were going to fall, moments later.
Mm-hmm. Well, if we do get into like a similar position here, I want to see ByuN just defend his mineral lines a little bit better. Of course, there were some very strange things going on, like the BC rush. We had that big drop from ByuN into the main base, right, which didn't do all that much. After he had lost several SCVs, and then the Hellion run by, all that. It was kind of such a dynamic game that it's easy to forget some of these early things that happened and how those can stack up throughout, which is, it's such an important like concept, is to look at some of the first things that went wrong because they echo throughout the entire game.
Yeah.
Well, all that being said, you have those command centers all finished, making the orbitals. It's like Cure going to be going with the siege tank. Cyclone here for ByuN.
And again, a little bit of a slower start here. Let's talk about ByuN having a pause in that last game, because I think that's something that we just can't, ignore here, is that he did have pains. This is not the first time he's had pains recently in a match.
Yeah.
It makes me worried for the guy, because I mean, it is one thing to play StarCraft, for 6 or 8 hours in a day and start to feel pain, but if you can't get through a best-of-5 in a tournament, and basically one of the most loose, at least as far as actual playtime goes, tournaments in the world,
that's very true.
That's not a good sign for your career.
Yeah, imagine if he was in like the European scene where they play day-long tournaments.
Oh, it would just be like, you can't play then,
Yeah,
or you risk like.
The thing is, he does play tournaments like that too.
That's the thing.
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
But you could end up building up such an injury that you can't recover from it for, it could be career-ending,
Yeah, absolutely.
So we got blows back and forth right away here. ByuN attacking into the command center over here, pulling a lot of these SCVs forward here. Great control.
Ooh. Yeah, he's actually getting a lot more damage done than what Cure was able to do on the other side. Kind of impressive. But that's what happens when you do a little micro war against ByuN. Not so easy.
Yeah, again, he's good at these little fights. But yeah, it does make me wonder. I'm curious what he's doing to get that treated, or kind of physical therapy he's receiving,
Yeah. I mean, I hope it gets better over time instead of worse. I mean, we can't tell because we just get to cast him sometimes, but it it seems like he's needed a pause in all of his pro matches since he's been back. Just about. Very close to that. All right, Stim on the way here for Cure. ByuN not starting it quite yet, getting that third CC going. ByuN out on the map, roaming a bit. It's a decent little force there, but I don't think he can actually get anything done right now, honestly. A couple more axes, kind of a funny position. A little bit hidden there.
And he's going to be springing to an attack in here pretty quickly. Now, again, remember, when it was 2-base versus 2-base before, he got in because he came at an angle that his opponent wasn't ready at, and I guess we might have some ideas of play like that here, too. He actually caught the Raven, which is among the most important units that you've tacked into, that you need.
That was incredibly sloppy. What was he doing?
Well, it was weird, because it was a great catch by ByuN, but yeah, also with Cure, it's like, why is that out there?
Yeah. That's
the only way
literally your most important unit.
The only way to lose that, especially if you're turtling on 2 bases, is to fly it where it isn't protected.
Yeah. You're not supposed to make the Raven then just send it outside your main when he's there. It's, I mean, I don't...
It's very strange.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have 2 more Ravens coming here. I don't know if he wants to auto-turret or what.
Looks like a little bit of scouting going down. I don't think he can get anything done, but Kira with the double medevac boost into the main. And ByuN very quickly reacting to this. Does lose a couple SCVs, but pushes forward with his siege tanks. Gonna force that up. Pretty reasonably dealt with.
Yeah, I think that looked great. Another attack coming in over here like this.
Yeah, Kira continuing to harass a little bit. There are a couple Vikings here. Oh, he throws down the auto turrets. Kind of fight the Marines with those while he tries to get... I like the idea, but yeah, I mean, we weren't up against the wall or anything.
Right.
So Kier just flew away from it. But the idea was very, very cool.
Another drop's going to come out of the main here for Cure. This time an even bigger one. And it seems like what Cure's doing is trying to punish the fact that ByuN has invested so much in this contain that he knows there should be a soft spot somewhere else. He just has to find where that is and then hit it. Because on paper, yeah, ByuN should not be able to hold 3 bases and have his army containing Cure here.
100%, you're right about that. And look at this, he stims forward. ByuN has to lift that third, doesn't have anything there. And here comes Cure's draw. This is kind of a weird area.
Really,
look at that, the SCVs can't even get in there.
Everybody's having the same idea here, like put it in these little areas.
Oh, he does actually have some tanks in beautiful position, though. Actually, ByuN is going to clean that up.
This position's actually not good at all.
This was almost.
This was
it
actually
almost feels
terrible.
like it was a bait.
Yeah.
It like looks so beautiful. You're like, oh my god.
Yeah.
I can get his SCVs. He can't use his SCVs to drill on top of my
you know,
stuff.
exactly.
I'm going to get his E-base.
And then you see it, I'm like, you can't even run from splash damage or engage tanks. So he just like sets up and drives you out.
Meanwhile, ByuN Zoo over here with the art of Terran war, just setting up the trap and massacring the army.
Okay. We have another scan up here.
Look at this. What is this? What is this little contain? It's like 4 units.
Well, it's funny because it's still going on.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, for all the great attacks we've had from Cure, ByuN is actually...
that
hold
line
on.
is awesome.
Here we go, another big attack coming in here. There's reinforcements coming in behind the surround, though. So he's going to get all the Vikings.
Yeah.
And then he can just scramble back to safety, going unpunished.
This is definitely something about Terran contains where they're really good up to a point, but if you're not reinforcing them really steadily, eventually they just get crushed.
Yeah, it seems like you need to have it and then know exactly when it's time to pull away.
Yeah.
And not do this anymore.
Right, a little bit of harassment going on here from Cure. Flies in over the turrets, not going to get anything done there. ByuN with the counter drop into the main base. Cure does have a siege tank, but ByuN just running north from it.
Okay, doing a great job here, hitting these E-bays now.
Oh, that's a bit painful, isn't it? Good
yeah,
drop,
it's pretty rough. Yeah, not bad at all. Another push is going to come up here. And Kira's got his third base up. It's still neck and neck. It's been a back and forth here. Wouldn't say there's any clear leader right now, although it does seem like ByuN has more initiative on the map.
I think it's heavily a stylistic thing, though, right?
Yeah.
Like, he likes to walk around the map with multiple groups and look for ways in. He is a very aggressive player by nature. Sieging up a little bit outside these rocks. Looks like he does want to take them down to give himself a bit more surface area, but Kier's setting up a pretty decent defensive siege right there. Bringing a lot of units up. ByuN does have another group down towards the bottom, the right-hand side of the map, I guess we should say, but looks like he's backing up with that for now.
Okay, now we got Kira attacking into these rocks. Now, it looks like basically ByuN's going to set up to hit 2 locations. He's got this army grouping over here. He could try to pick up and go in the main with that, although it might actually be coming to meet up with the rest of the army that ByuN also has. It's just outside of the third. So, I mean, it kind of, there's a lot of ways this game can go, and it will probably depend on if Kira decides to leave and get caught off guard. I know he knows about this over here, but there's still another army that's gathered up and is in pretty good shape over here at the bottom, and there's a lot more areas he can go to. Also on this map, especially in this position, there's only one other place Terran can expand to.
Yeah.
And that would mirror the position that ByuN's already taken. So things could go awry here. Okay, here we go. This is what I was talking about. If he's not ready for an attack out here, this arc is so much better that ByuN is going to just dominate.
Yeah, he has
even
a
without
lot
the
of Marines
connecting.
in there.
Yeah.
That was a big moment, actually.
That was huge.
Like, well, Kier trying to come down once again, but he's not positionally playing that well this game. ByuN with 4 bases, he can afford to trade here and be very happy about it.
And I think ByuN might even try to push the issue here and attack in. Is going to get one of the tanks, but ByuN is fighting back very well. He's got more tanks that have come up here. I think seeing the position that he's in now, he's going to try to go for a huge drop. It is going to be blocked off here by the infantry. Great move by Kira. That could have cost him this game, and we'd be going into game 4 already.
Very good that Kira is still roaming about a bit.
I think he can actually still do it. Am I wrong about this? I mean, he drove him away. I think he could still pick up and just go in the main, right?
Kira has some decent defenses there right now, so I think it could be a very dangerous move, whereas this containment seems really, really strong. Like, he's got the pressure of maybe I'll drop in your main, maybe I'll push forward.
Yeah.
But he's just got a bit more supply and 1 more base. And this frontal position, what do you do as Kira? Like, what is the comeback technique here?
Yeah, well, Kira is, I mean, the problem for Kira now is it's the same army types against each other. But ByuN has more in a better position, and he's up on bases. So, I mean, it's really not a pretty situation here. He trades the Liberators into many of those Marines, making it even less likely that Kira is going to be able to break free here. Ooh, great shot on the Viking.
All right, the Marines actually stim out as he unsieges there. Almost picks one off.
Pretty brutal, man.
Oh, another big drop going towards that main base, but there's a lot of units there.
Yeah, definitely a good thing he pulled away there.
That would have been death.
When I saw the pickup there, because I hadn't actually seen inside the main yet in this game, I didn't realize there was that much there.
Yeah. Kier is very on top of knowing that ByuN wants to do that. Now, Kier does have some units out on the map. He needs to take a 4th base yesterday. That is such an important thing for him right now. Because ByuN has been on 4 base for, like, this entire time.
Yeah, and if he's not going to catch up soon, ByuN's going to get up another base even beyond this one here. But again, the fluid contain is what is so strong right now, is that he's repositioned over and over. You know, it is mechanically very taxing to unsiege everything, to regroup everything, to come back out, to try to find an angle. And ByuN is basically, look, he's even going to rotate down here. Well, on the mini-map we have it. Here it is, this shot now. It looks like actually Kira is going to be able to get a good setup here. I can't believe Kira's going to commit. Is this going to work?
Yeah, it looks like he'll break through this.
Oh, man, that went way better for Kira than I thought.
Yeah, fantastically broken out of.
Whoa, okay, now the counterpunch is going to come, right?
Well, ByuN is repositioning. Like, he can be at a slight supply deficit and hold if he's in a good spot. Does have a couple Liberators here, too. Plenty of tanks on that high ground. Oh, my God. He's actually going to stim and run in here, forcing forward with his sieges. The Liberators siege up, but is that the best position for them?
Yeah, kind of a funny spot here.
I think he's a little afraid of those Vikings that Kier has.
Well, it's hard to fight, you know, when they've got this many tanks and Vikings here.
Yeah, air advantage is gigantic.
Well, you can just get bullied so easily. But again, you know, this is ByuN really showing why he's such a strong player mechanically as far as his micro. I mean, he's just moving this army back and forth and cutting Kier off at the pass in every move.
All right, Kier trying to break through here. Once again, a ton of siege tanks on that low ground, but ByuN with enough tanks and Marines pushes it back for now. Kier getting ready once again. Unsieging his back tanks here. Kier does have that 4th base mining.
Yeah, he's got it up. He's got it running. By the way, ByuN has not taken an additional base on his own, so this has been a pretty tight game here economically. The further Kier pushes out, the more that small little attacks like this can be a headache.
There's a bit of harassment there. Leaves
Yeah,
another one outside to do again.
He'll wait until those Marines are all the way gone, and then he'll come in there again. And it's a great way to chip away at them.
Yeah, sets that up. Yeah, really reasonable harassment there. Oh, man. More than that, even.
Yeah, this is actually really slowing Kier down. Oh, and again, you got to think of how fast you have to be in a TVT here. When you're dealing with something annoying like that, your screen's in the wrong spot, and you can get a setup in one of these larger attacks that are really more important, where you can get the leg up on them. You can get your siege mode up or your stim out first, or move into a position, but apparently not this time, because Kier is fighting back and fighting hard.
And he's got so many tanks.
Yeah, and he really smashed ByuN back there, and he's made an opening for himself to get access to the west side of the map here.
Yeah, he's pushing his tanks through there now, and that is where ByuN is taking another base. ByuN actually getting out of position with that army. Looks like he wanted to hit the 4th, but instead, Kier takes over that center area and might be able to attack the 4th and 5th base of ByuN.
Okay, sieging up. Again, he's slowly encircling ByuN here. He's not going to be in the way of the reinforcements. The rocks here have not been destroyed yet, so he can't go straight down. I thought he was actually going to go to the left side of the map, but instead it looks like he's much more interested in maybe trying to apply pressure here to the bottom. Okay, here we go. He's going to come in now from every angle.
ByuN's army going to get absolutely slaughtered right there. Tries to run out with a few remaining Marines. Yeah, not much left over. Unfortunately, he has no medevacs. He's down in tanks. He's down in Marines. Not looking so hot for ByuN right now.
Okay, getting further and further down here.
Feels like he's a little off right at this second.
ByuN or Kier?
ByuN.
Yeah, no, it seems like he's actually slowed down, like he was playing faster and it kind of.
I don't want to like make up a story or something, but it really does look that way. He hasn't made a medevac forever. Okay, he finally has a couple more medevacs.
No, I kind of was thinking the same thing that you are, that like it just looks like he's not playing as well overall. And we're kind of watching Kier power through him. And there it is, Kier's 2nd victory. And a pretty incredible game, honestly. I mean, Kier winning with Mech in game 2, and then in game 3, kind of really the dance in the middle of the map, back and forth. They started out with ByuN actually containing Kier. Kier was on 2 bases, and Kier navigated one of the more technical TVTs across the map, Marine tank versus Marine tank, and medevac of course too, and pushed through there.
Yeah.
And actually got all the way to ByuN, who just could not stop the movement from Kier. And
which is weird, because ByuN was up a base for a long time. He had position on Kier for a long time.
I'm the same as you, man. I don't like making up stories, but I mean, this is not the first time it's happened to ByuN where he looks great, pauses the game, complains about pain in his arm, and then when we resume it, it does seem like all of his stats are going down, right?
In the beginning part of that game, his moves looked much better than Kier's. Like, he definitely got himself a reasonable edge. Like, he had the containment. He had an additional base.
Yeah.
But then his moves they weren't as sharp, they weren't as crisp. Kier just started to break through. Which, I mean, power to Kier, right? Like, he plays a mean TBT. I don't know. We'll see what ByuN can look like here as we go into set 4.
Hopefully he's going to look better because our map's romanticized. And right now, Kier's up 2-1 in this best of 5.
2021 GSL Season 1.
We stood at the edge of the world. Seize the stakes. They're living a life I did.
Dragon Phoenix Gaming. Cure. Shopify Rebellion. ByuN.
All right. Yeah, I guess we just wait and see, like, how ByuN plays this next game, because it did feel like he fell off a bit. Game 2, I'm a little bit more understanding on what occurred. Like, it was like a compositional thing, a harassment thing. There was like a lot going on.
Yeah, and I think there was a couple of moments where he didn't quite address a position, and it got the best of him. By the way, this game, it's going to be
Cheese from ByuN.
Cheese from ByuN, that's right. One barracks here in the middle of the map, another one back at home. The second out in the front, the first one, sorry, the first out in the, I don't know, I gotta go. I'm like a stitch in 9 saves time, I'm not sure. There's 2
Something
barracks being
happened
made.
in Tasus's wrist brain is.
Yeah, I know,
is hurting him.
my wrist brain got tired, and I
Tasus's
couldn't
brain is
cast
just
anymore.
a bunch of wrists.
That's right, a bunch of wrinkled wrists together. Right now, hurting apparently. I'm like, pause the game. They're like, Taste is strong. I'm like, I just need to rest for 3 minutes.
I can't
Then
talk for 3 minutes.
then I
Make
come
our
back
toast
and
talk then. No, I don't want to.
I come back and my speech is slurring and everything's slowing down, and I keep forgetting who you are. And
Oh man.
so the Reaper's going to come out here in this forward spot. Now, Cure's looking, and Cure's going to find this.
Yeah.
That's bad for ByuN.
Yeah, Kier can pull back now. Just continually build his units. Second Reaper is going to be popping out, so it's gonna be very hard for ByuN to do damage. But the thing is, with this build, it's like you're definitely putting on pressure with the Reapers and trying to get something done. But you're actually taking a quicker expansion as well.
Yep.
ByuN starts, or Kier starts his rather quickly also.
And so now the factory starts up. So not as much of a significant early game here. No real surprises. Nobody opened up in a way that this can be truly punished. The barracks will be used to scout now and try to see, okay, what is the tech? Do I have any counterplay as we enter into a 2-base TVT here? And by the way, these two guys have had some of the more interesting low econ games against each other in TVT that we've seen.
Now we do have a couple Hellions and 2-3 Reapers out right now for Kier. Some pretty standard stuff. We'll see if he actually goes across and tries to put some pressure on with it. Doesn't seem like the case. Maybe afraid that ByuN is about to jump in if he does that. But ByuN is actually going 3 command centers. So doing a little bit of a greedy follow-up, but there's no real intel for Kier. ByuN, though, getting it all.
So he's going to come down here, land this.
I love it.
It's just an annoying thing. You can't get your CC landed there as quickly as you want. So he's going to come back here and attack that, but just one way to be annoying.
Yeah, very, very annoying. Looks like
He's looking for a way to land.
he's got enough damage output there that won't stall it for all that long. Still gonna do it though.
But this keeps Kier honest. Kier can't do any sneaky maneuvers here that he has to do this. He's going to lift and land and lift and land.
Very cute.
Keep in mind, guys, ByuN is mining behind this, so like
I like it.
And so now comes the drop. Cure finally freed from the burdens of ByuN's opening. Now is going to head south on the map, going towards the bottom right.
You know, that did slow down this attack as well, so it gives him a little bit of time to make a few more units.
Yeah.
Kind of a very cool move.
Looks like we're going to have an engagement over here. This drop could actually go right past this, too. Oh, my God. It's in the blind spot.
Oh, he was standing exactly in a spot to catch that medevac, too.
Okay, so he's going to get the... Oh, okay. He's actually been chased away. Nice defense from ByuN. Had he not identified that in the moment, that attack could have been huge.
All right. Third base on location for Cure.
Cure obviously pretty confident he's not going to get beaten up here by ByuN, but ByuN is moving out on the map. Cure's going back home to defend, but you know, especially when you're taking a third base this quick, there's going to be an opening somewhere if you're not careful.
I'll tell you, I think ByuN recovered out of the failed 2 barracks Reaper play pretty well overall. Like to see him land that 3rd CC relatively soon. Cure sending out a medevac here for some harass.
And he's going to come out once more. Stim is a little bit ahead right now for Cure. Looks like Cure wants to try to take because really he needs to defend his 3rd, but instead he wants to try to keep the pressure on, keep ByuN defending here. If ByuN does come out with everything, there's always a chance Cure can attack in there. These are pretty quick 3rd bases without much here to really hold them. So here comes Cure now. Cure's going to try to drop here. This time not behind the buildings like we had in the earlier game, but right on top.
Trapped there as well.
Yeah, that's right. But the Vikings are going to come in. Now there's a second attack that it looks like could get set up here. He's going to lead with the Reaper, the more expendable unit. Sees there's an army there and backs up. Good control, good decision making. It's important when you're doing this that you're not just overextending and throwing army in there and you just promptly lose to a counterattack.
Yeah.
So
Gotta maintain.
Just like dropping the 2 Marines there, doing some damage, getting out. Like even the subtle stuff leading with a Reaper, because those don't matter the longer the game goes on. And so he's going back now.
Yeah.
But I don't see any attacks really coming here for ByuN just yet. I mean, ByuN's mostly trying to chase out this stuff that's on the map that's a threat to him.
Looks like Cure gonna be able to take that one down. Just some funny little micro battles in the center. Cure winning that one, but yeah, both sides massing up. Upgrades not that far off from each other. Some small differences here and there. ByuN actually with a very healthy Viking fleet right now.
So we've got the armies now. 1-1's done. Again, it's kind of been a pokes and prods here and there, not much actually happening. But I think that's smart, honestly, for both sides. Nobody wanted to really fully attack right away here. I mean, Cure is really picking up momentum in this series overall, I should say. But ByuN, yeah, he's just going to be powering up.
Well, you know, ByuN got his 3rd command center a little bit quicker, so has had that SCV lead for a bit. And his macro starting to find its stride.
Is this a mistake? The 3 tanks? Yeah, he's going to pull them away, okay. 3 tanks alone with the Marines going the other side, yeah. Now, this is where Cure can actually do some damage, and this may be well-timed. Now, the scan may give away the intentions of Cure here.
Oh, for
Looks
sure,
like it does. I mean, you see that immediately. You stim and run back to block that off.
It's one of the high-level mind games that exist in TVT, where if you see a scan, that's like the highest level players will sometimes scan somewhere that they're not going to go.
That's right. Forces siege up, and then they hit from a different
generally
angle.
You just scan where you want to
go.
Oh
my God, just lost the Raven.
Yeah, ByuN taking a very strong engage right there. Cure caught with his harassment force against the full army of ByuN. Let's be careful about that. By the way, I miss the Viking flower. Like, you know when people used to put Vikings on like patrol in one area and they would like, just make that beautiful flower?
I remember when you
said
it. And
now they just like make like almost a figure 8-ish looking thing.
Yeah, that's true. By the way, I remember when you were the first person to say it, we were casting it. You called it a Viking flower on the fly when you saw it, and then in the patch notes they said when they fixed that something like we've prevented the usage of the Viking flower, and Artosis had this little moment of pride where he's like, they used my term.
I actually don't remember.
You don't
it.
remember this?
I don't remember the patch. I remember calling it a Viking flower.
There was somewhere in patch notes it was called
That's
a
funny.
Viking flower, and you were like, that was my term. Never forget, my term was used in the patch notes. So, fourth base here for both sides. A lot of caution aired here between Kier and ByuN.
Yeah, ByuN is actually pretty much maxed out already here. Kira's actually up in workers slightly. Moving around, we have a lot of sensor towers out, so it's actually kind of hard to attack. And ByuN with a smaller group out on the map. So he's going to get stim and run forward here towards that third base. There's really not much there. And not much, I mean nothing at all. So definitely can get some damage done. Meantime, Kira with a huge attack.
And this is going to be crushing through these tanks. A forced liftoff here from the CC. The third base location is in shambles. And there's a possibility that Kier might even push it again. 2-2 is 5 seconds out from completion. The Vikings coming in to chase away the spotting medevac. Oh no, ByuN just, oh no, he just lost that.
Oh, well this is why, because he's actually microing heavily over here. Picks off the siege tank, starting to kill a lot of SCVs as well. Of course, he will end up losing this to the reinforcing units of Kier. I guess after that, like ByuN gets a slight lead, but he can't land this base again, whereas Kier can.
Yeah, not only that, but there's a chance he just goes into the main here. I think he's realizing that, you know, ByuN can't really have that many places covered at once. There's not infantry in here in the main at all here.
Ooh, yeah, he was a bit out of position with those tanks sieging up. It will make it a bit harder to clear.
Okay, just out of range of those tank scans here. The infantry can chase them away as well. And this is a huge hiccup in the production as well. This is 4 barracks in this area that can be hit by these tanks.
Oh my God, that one hit point Liberator there, cleaning things up.
His name is Tank Eater.
His name is Tank Eater. He actually was targeting with his last Marines and he just got me. He has 5 health, so like one more Marine bullet and he's dead. Tank Eater doesn't die to Marines.
Pretty insane attack here from ByuN. Some targeting that is just too fast to deal with. But is it enough? He's starting to slowly thin out everything that's over here for Kier. And Kier, you know, had a pretty good spot, but does he have enough? Can he muster an army that can actually answer this? Because ByuN is catching up in damage and already exceeding in supply.
Kills the command center. Brutal, brutal play there. And he's up double the army supply right now, Tasteless. How do you want Kier to come back from that?
It's funny because it looked like Kier was winning a minute ago, but he overextended.
I love the drop into the main. Like, that looked very good. But then Tank Eater came along, and it was just ended. You can't account for hero units, you know?
When I think of Tank Eater, I think of a Liberator with a big anteater nose that's just going into tearing bases and eating up the tanks.
I was actually thinking of him where, like, the Liberator, because it's kind of, look at how it's shaped, like it's a crocodile mouth that just opens up. It's got crocodile teeth
Little
in there.
tanks start eating its teeth and stuff, and he's closing it. Yeah, but I mean, right now, Kier is up against the ropes, dude.
Oh, man. Look at this. Tank Eater just brought a friend.
He's back.
Oh, I want to click on those so badly and see if one of them was actually Tank Eater.
One of them's got to be. Whichever one lives to the end of the game, that's Tank Eater.
I don't know if he even repaired it. Okay,
there he is. He's still in the game.
Tank Eater moving forward. The Marines coming for Tank Eater. Oh! All right, guys, this is for Tank Eater.
You killed
Let's
our
eat
friend.
those tanks.
He's going to push in now, and I think there's actually just enough.
Yeah, the Marines all died trying to avenge Tank Eater there.
That's
the tanks ate them.
They were like, that's our friend! And, they
that tank was like, I'm Marine Eater! No, you're not. Get out of here.
Yeah, get out of here, poser. And I gotta say, man, like, it's been a back and forth. I think ByuN overextended there, and it was one of those moments where it's like the two Dragon Ball Z spiky-haired guys fighting, and their lasers are pushing back and forth. You can tell you guys I have not actually watched DBZ, but you know what I mean? It's like the two guys with their beams fighting, and it gets pushed back and forth.
The two guys with the spiky hair, yeah, and their lasers go back and forth. Totally.
Am I doing it right? Am I one of you guys? Like,
are you sure you haven't watched all the episodes twice?
I've watched it so many times that I don't count anymore.
Well, that's why your lingo is perfect.
Yeah, thank you. But like, we saw them fighting, and it was like, okay, it's not clear who's going to take it, and then that damage spikes comes up there, and Kier pushes back. But Kier is...
And then Majin Tank Eater flies in.
That's right. But Kier is still defending. ByuN is very close to actually closing this game out.
Yeah. ByuN definitely pretty far ahead, I would say. But he doesn't have a 5th base up right now. I guess we should mention that, right? We did see like that other game where he had the 4 base against 3 base for a really long time. He never extra capitalized. Okay, he did just start a command center towards the top right side. Look at this position. Oh, disables a bunch of the tanks, stimming forward. Great move here from Kier.
And Kier are going to be able to kill off so many of these tanks. We've seen this before from time to time where ByuN has a good position, and then maybe he sits there a little bit too long. Uh-oh.
Right.
Oh, especially leading with a weak mana back like that.
Does lose one, unfortunately.
Okay.
Yeah, taking another base during all this.
Taking a lot is ByuN right now, taking the whole upper right side of the map. The command center is getting very low. Basically, Kier has to uproot these tanks, these 4 tanks up here that are just to the top, because he's losing money having to repair this.
Okay, looks like he
can hit it.
He's going to be able to push it back.
Yeah, he just needs a scan or something airwise to hit that.
A little bit hard. Some Liberators being added in to help him push this all back.
Here we go again. And all I think ByuN has to do is run the clock on the position he's got up here at the top. Because it's a position that can perpetually do damage as long as he has scans. And I mean, he's got enough orbitals, it's not a big deal. He's going to try to push the issue. I don't know if this is an overextension or not. We see Marines down here. I don't think there's actually enough, though. Yeah, ByuN is going to take this game, I think, because if he gets this spot, I don't see how Kier can really recuperate.
No, it's pretty darn tough for Kier, but Kier has taken another base. He floated his command centers down, and well, this is one of them, but another one for an additional base towards that bottom left. So if he can hold on to this area, I think he actually eliminates this area.
Oh yeah, he for sure kills it. I mean, when the Marines have been used up.
This is actually suddenly a lot closer than it has been for the rest of the game, because he actually has a decent amount of mining bases. His army is a similar size to ByuN's. They have the same upgrades.
I got to point out, though, man, it was like, you know, he had that spot up there. I don't think he needed to try to take the fight. I think make them come to you.
ByuN?
Yeah, I don't think ByuN had to attack into there. I think Kier's actually kind of balanced this out.
Well, it seemed like he was trying to finish.
Whoa!
Stimming down that ramp. Oh, man, the armor shred is real.
Kier is a monster! And now he can continue the push. Stimming, chasing down these unstimmed Marines, by the way.
Oh, this is very tough for ByuN. Bringing up some more reinforcements. He's suddenly down 20 army supply. He was leading for most of the game. All right, a Liberator coming. I don't know what he's going to do. He's going to find that there's nothing left here.
Yeah, that's actually Tank Eater's twins separated at birth.
That was the unlucky one.
Yeah, that was the unlucky one.
That
All
one,
the good
that
genes
one
went to the other
dad.
And so, I mean, we've got Kier really back in this game. I mean, this has been a pretty dramatic TVT overall. Lots of back and forths. It does seem like ByuN, you know, he had a good thing going for him, and it was, you know, he was building a lot behind that, but Kier's won basically 2 big fights in a row, and now Kier is free to expand and to take the map. It's not clear if anybody really has map control. I think with ByuN occupied with growth here, and sorry, Kier occupied with growth here, and ByuN now trying to look for a fight somewhere else. Here we go. Now he's going to see this. Oh my God,
nice
that was
pickoffs.
a kind of unusual snipe to have, but gets 3 medevacs, which by the way means nothing can be healed up here. Tank shots are even worse. He's going to just go ahead and full-on commit. But I guess when you have that many Marines, you can make anything work.
I guess so.
Another big victory. You know, Kier fought back and held off many attacks, but he was never able to have real counterplay.
Actually, I felt like he was starting to come back there too. ByuN maybe overextending a little bit.
Yeah,
Feels
going
like
a little
ByuN
bit too
has
ham.
had, I think this is like ByuN's third lead of the game. But
Yeah.
Kira like kind of holds on and stays stable. Like, ooh, just barely not enough for Kira to take that despite the armor shred.
Okay, and so trying to find some kind of an opening here. ByuN's got to be careful here. Gets another armor shred off. This angle pretty insane. Can't push through that. He backs off again. Keep in mind though, ByuN has outgrown Kira by a lot. These army fights, it can look even and hard to tell who's going to take it, but the real story is in the mini-map.
Yeah, taking that extra base up at the top right and then killing Kira's third. Very, very brutal here for Kira.
Ooh!
He's hitting great armor shreds, but does it matter if he can't engage? Not really. He just makes the units look weird.
Yeah, it just makes him.
It's like
Cheeto
flanking
dusted.
Archon. It doesn't do anything.
Okay, comes in again. And ByuN, I think ByuN is basically just trying to do everything to force this game to end.
He wants Kira out of this game so bad.
He wants to be in Game 5 so badly that he's almost playing a little bit sloppy. We're seeing him like just kind of try to will his way to a victory, which sometimes is how you can end up losing an RTS.
Very true.
And now we have Kira fighting back, and we're seeing exactly why sometimes you can't just make it happen.
And now once again, Kira does get a little bit of a leg up. Look at this, I'm 20 army supply after that. ByuN, like the way ByuN is playing, like it's too aggressive. It's too he's gotten so far ahead several times that if he just sits, then that's going to be enough. I think he's still going to get him this game, but
well, he should. But
this is honestly probably not the best way to do it.
This is not how you want to play if you use these VODs for educational purposes.
These are bad things to internalize. Okay,
yeah, better set.
This is this is not the way to win a game. Like it's again, I think he's still gonna win, but he's been going ham for a long time now. Like he'll be stimming in with no medvacs 3 times. It's like, okay, listen, I know that you're far ahead.
I think Kira was for a little bit here not aware of how behind he was. He was actually pushing a base that has no minerals.
Just like he did the Liberator harassment into a base with nothing.
Yeah. Not sure why we're watching this here. But keep in mind, TVT, especially when we have armies of this size, even though on paper it should not ever be a game that Kira could win, if ByuN keeps overextending, you know, sometimes you win a few fights back-to-back, and you are suddenly winning everything. And so, let's see. I mean, there's lots of map for ByuN here, but a couple bad engagements.
That was weird. That was not even an attack move for ByuN. He just had him on move right there.
Yeah.
All right, stimming down. He's going to be able to kill a lot here, but some big C-Chain volleys force him back. What am I looking at? This is
a game that, honestly, if ByuN continues to play like this, I think we're going to see a reversal.
Yeah.
Now, there's nothing back here.
He's got to be careful about it.
But this is not a particularly tough Marine army. They can come in here with the few brains he has, take some good angles.
He's already got no health, and now they're shredded.
And now he's going to lose, I think. Oh, he's not going to lose both medevacs unless he can auto-turret that. Or,
well.
Oh! Woo! Now, again, Kira's ahead in supply now. Let's even mention that there is supply in a medevac and units inside that in a useless location.
Yeah, he's up 30 supply.
Pushes are coming out.
This is not the important side of the map for ByuN, though.
No, I'm actually a bit surprised he's not pushing through the top. I think Kira is hoping. Oh, hold on. Wow, the tanks are just a little bit further down. Now, if he catches this.
That's a lot of units there.
Yeah.
Tank siege, ByuN has to pull back.
Now, honestly, all he has to do is start to push up. Are these bases actually close to mining out, these ones at the top right?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
I don't feel like I have a very good sense of this game because it's been such an unusual TVT, one where one guy's so ahead.
I think they're pretty healthy.
Okay. Kira is looking better and better. He actually has better upgrades on his... oh, I'm sorry, that's actually ByuN.
Yeah.
Has better upgrades on his vehicles, excuse me. So...
This is a lot of tanks that are coming in towards ByuN.
Yeah, he's going to be able to force fights, and sometimes the more tanks you lose, you continue to lose more tanks, and you can't catch back up. Keep in mind, the Marines can replenish very easily as long as you can inch in.
Okay, this might be the move from ByuN. Big drop into the main base up here. Getting a lot of units as they pop out of Raxes.
I think not enough.
Yeah, a couple of siege tank hits from the low ground there actually weaken his army.
It does seem like, well, that was a bad angle, but it seems like it's almost possible for him to just have enough units that the reinforcements come out, take the fights.
Seems that way.
Wow, okay.
All right,
Crazy
so
what a couple medevacs and Marines can do.
yeah. Kier still has a pretty fearsome army down here. And I mean, he's taken another base as well. Kier on 1 gas. Look at his gas. 1.
1 gas.
What should he repair?
Should repair Tank Eater, no.
Tank Eater is long gone from this world,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Heroes burn, bright lives stays,
That's
so
right.
they go out quickly as well.
Okay, so supply-wise, the army is actually still bigger for ByuN. Is it necessarily better? I mean, Kier has more tanks, but tanks, you know, it's very situational in fights like these, how good they are, because sometimes you'll get an angle, your splash damage connects with everything, and that curbs the game. Other times they get dropped, or they're caught in mid-siege mode, and it's quite the opposite. Now, I want to point out, I think we need to see Kier. Oh, hold on. We're about to see it happening. I was going to say, is he going to try to defend, or is he going to sack a location? Because
It's a planetary, so he has a little bit of time to get down there. The Marines can't do. Oh, probably won't just run up to try to kill it.
it does seem like there's got to be. Oh no. Well, hold on. See if it can actually drop and unload in a spot that's of value. I was going to say that, you know, I wonder if it might have been worth it at some point in time in this game for Kier to sack a location and try to push the top right. You know, he's basically let ByuN mine this whole time. ByuN is eventually going to mine out from these other bases, by the way, guys.
Well, ByuN expanded again, actually, and look at this, dropping into the main base. Okay, I think ByuN has finally done it, but this was a rocky road.
Yeah, Artosis thinks it's an ice cream.
This game was ice cream, guys.
Yeah. ByuN takes...
And by ice cream, I mean I scream, stop wasting your units and trying to finish the game.
Look at ByuN. I mean, it was a good game. It was kind of weird, though. I think we can all agree on that. It was definitely ByuN, like, going hard to the point where Kier's sort of like, he's like Neo, like, amazed that he's stopping the bullets that are coming at him.
Yeah.
And that became a pretty close match there in the end. I mean, that was...
ByuN did everything except drop mules on Kier there. Like, he was...
Yeah.
The aggressiveness with which he was attacking was actually insane at times. Like, he was losing so much army.
Well, what's funny is it probably made the game longer. He could have won it more quickly if he played more clean.
Yes.
But he didn't do that.
But he was close to breaking Kier a lot, but, like, it almost felt like it turned around. If Kier had, like, one more command center actually mining for a little bit, like if he hadn't lost the third or something, or, you know, just if he had somehow squeezed in other command center, I think he would have actually ended up winning based on what we saw.
I mean, it was exciting to watch, but I think you're completely right. Like, there's so many moments where I think all he had to do was back off and occasionally even unsiege and regroup and keep expanding. And instead, it was like a ByuN that had a lead for a huge period of time, and I think sometimes literally double the expansions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, most of the game.
It feels like it's wrong when I say it, like that shouldn't happen, but that did happen in that game.
Yeah, in a mirror matchup, this is not what you would expect
to see. It's supposed to be kind of impossible, but, you know, you get a lead, and it's something a lot of new players have to learn is you don't just always get to kill them. You just make it their problem. Okay, I'm ahead. I'm going to get more upgrades. I'm going to improve my infrastructure. I'm going to take more bases. And they have to attack into you, and that's why a lot of times we see games where players GG as their last, you know, crappy attack comes in and is stopped. Yeah. So, I actually was not looking at our preview screen, so his wrist must be killing him.
It's literally shivering.
So what do you do?
Well,
I think if you cure, you go mech.
yeah. Serious. Like if you're Cure, you play the longest game that you possibly can.
Start lifting your buildings off. Just
Do what you gotta
see what
do.
you got to do, man.
Yeah, yeah.
How long has this series been going on? Because our first one was short. It's 9 now. We started 6:30, so this has been over an hour, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So that's a lot for ByuN.
Plus the 3-minute break, so like an hour and 3 minutes maybe.
Yeah, there you go. So I guess we're probably actually a player requested a bathroom break, so we'll be here for a little bit longer. But yeah, I worry here for ByuN. We've had this happen before. Also, this is not good for him. Like if this hurts and to play through pain.
Yeah.
So
It's tough, man.
yeah,
It is tough. He's such a pleasure to watch. But the thing is, maybe that's why he was trying to finish it for so long. Because
I
he
think
just
so.
wants the game to end. And that's like when you start playing completely differently because of your wrist pain, that's obviously an issue.
Well, whenever you're trying to, whether it's pain or whatever, but whenever you're trying to just force it to end. I mean, I think players that have even realized they're going to be late for a dinner appointment or something have done this, where it's like, okay, regardless of any physical pain, it's like, oh, I'm going to be late. I committed to an online game, and actually I didn't give myself enough time, and now I'm doing something completely weird.
Everyone has had that.
Everybody's had this.
Yeah.
Or when you're a teenager, your mom's like, it's dinner time, and she might not know that a TVT could go on for an hour, and
She never knew.
yeah.
How much longer, she would ask.
Yeah.
Once again, Mother, I don't know. It's a StarCraft game.
Yeah. And so then you're like, okay, now I'm going to try to end this, and you're attacking everywhere, and you're having
And it's not working, which makes the game longer.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's better to just stay with the game plan.
Yeah.
The guaranteed 16 minutes rather than the, if I screw up this attack, it's 25 minutes,
Yeah.
and if I don't, it's 12 minutes. It's like, balance that out? Nah, let's take the 16.
So who knows what's going to happen in this next game, but it does seem like Cure, again, he lost that game, but I think he's better positioned. Maybe his wrist hurts too. Probably not like ByuN's.
Maybe his wrist hurts too. Is this where we give everyone a My Wrist Hurts trophy?
Yeah, I'm like, he could be at a 3, but ByuN's at a 9.
Yeah, I could see someone on Respawn on Twitter.
We start talking about our wrist hurting too. I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't know. I want to cast, but my wrist is hurting, and I'm not sure.
Tasteless, you talk about ByuN's wrist hurting, but Cure is also a Terran player, so his wrist hurt
His
too.
wrist hurt as well.
Tasteless, why didn't you say that?
Tasteless.
Tasteless.
Why am I so much smarter than you? Tasteless.
Why did Artosis block me? Tasteless.
All right. Cure and ByuN. This has been an exciting TVT, but it's kind of makes me a little bit nervous for ByuN. Cure is looking very strong, but it's kind of this weird thing where ByuN seems to be overpowering him in games where he's not playing perfectly, and games
ByuN
where his
looks
wrists
better
are.
overall, but
Yeah.
it's close enough that Cure can win
Yeah,
this.
Cure could just still squeak out of this.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens in the
2021
last game.
GSL Season 1.
We stood at the edge of the world. Seize the stakes.
Dragon Phoenix Gaming. Cure.
Again, best part of the dragon.
Shopify Rebellion. ByuN.
Best part of the rebellion.
Greatest rebellion of all time.
Yeah.
History buffs, high five!
That's right.
All right.
All right, yeah. Let's see what ByuN has planned here. It's kind of a cute placement.
Yeah, ByuN, you got to think about, like, okay, so he did do the proxy last time, it didn't work. He tried to end that very quickly. It actually let Cure almost come back. I think ByuN knows exactly what happened as well. I don't think that game's a mystery to him at all.
Yeah, I would imagine not. I'm sure he's looking at it. Everyone's done that before. Tried to finish a game
Yeah.
and be like, oh my god, now it's longer.
No,
Then
that's
you get it really far ahead again. You try to finish again, and they won't die. It's get
No,
out of my game.
it really is a part of RTS. is like learning the patience that comes with, like, okay, well, there's nothing that can happen now. Like, there are these periods where it's like, well, if you attack into him, that's actually all he wants. I mean, you could even, I'm sure there's people who have had this on the receiving end, where it's like, well, I was just upgrading stuff, and suddenly he had his whole army come at me, and I killed it, and he left.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, that's one way to win. That wasn't my plan, actually. I had stuff I was going to do later, but when it happens, you're like,
sure,
nice.
Sure. No, and this is like, I remember like 11 years ago or so,
Yeah.
DJ Wheat was asking me, you know, when I get ahead, how do I win? It's like, that's where I came up with the, when you get ahead, get more ahead. It's not when you get ahead, go and attack them like ByuN did. Don't do that. If you get ahead, expand your lead. Make it impossible for your opponent to win rather than kill them. I mean, there are certainly exceptions to this, but that's like actually the way to play.
And DJ, we took that and built Twitch into the powerhouse it is today.
There you go.
Yeah.
They got more ahead.
Yeah, they got more and more ahead. Yeah, only if you're doing a certain type of all-in or a very specific timing attack does that mean that you're not trying to get more ahead. You're trying to tank the game into the ground.
Yeah. And honestly, a lot of times when you do something that's like some sort of all-in,
yeah,
a fair amount of the time you do critical damage, but you can't actually force them out of the game.
Yeah, that's true.
Sometimes you just straight kill them. That definitely happens, but like you have to be like cognizant of these things, the differences, where it's like, okay, you did the critical damage, and actually the right move now is for you to make a command center or something, right?
Yeah.
Because he has no options here. He has no options, but he's got 2 bunkers, so don't attack into him, you know?
Yeah. I wonder, is it better if you're going to teach a new player to teach them the defending way or the timing attack way first?
The timing attack way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. You knew the answer already.
I was actually, here's what I was actually expecting. I thought you were going to say the defending way, and I was going to go, okay, here's why I think it's the attacking way.
No, it's the attacking way.
Yeah, I think because that
Learn
way
to
you
attack
show
first.
somebody what it looks like. Okay, here's how they held it.
Yeah.
'Cause
You gain twice as much information attacking as you do defending.
Well, not only that, but you teach somebody how to sometimes win, which can be addictive in a rush, so they get that experience. And then they start to, over time, lose as they get better and better. And they go, okay, it doesn't work anymore. And you go, all right.
Well, my latter experience says otherwise, that people actually never change when they get that addicted to that. But, yeah. I get your point, though. Okay, a little drop coming out from ByuN. Marines, Reapers, a Hellion. Getting a little bit of damage. We'll back out.
Yeah, not bad. Doesn't lose really anything there. Heading home now. Again, great TVTs tonight with these two.
Yeah, they've definitely been very entertaining. Really running the gamut of what you can see in this matchup.
Another pickup over here.
So Cure wants to send out his own harass. Little move out forward here from ByuN.
And this medevac's going to try to loop around here, head towards the main. Most of these attacks shouldn't do that much, but let's see, because ByuN's moving out now. ByuN, a lot of times he's like to set up these kind of holds outside the natural, and sometimes if he sees any bad positioning, he just comes in with a fight.
Yeah. It's definitely something he likes to do. Now with this medevac going behind their portraits, trying to keep it in between the production tab portraits. Okay, we're just going to let him go past the portraits towards the minimap. ByuN sending out his Raven.
Now, he's not moving in yet. Oh, he waited for the boost. Comes through. So what's actually back here? A tank just now spawns. The SCVs can actually dive on the Marines, but this is going to be a lot of SCV kills. Now, keep in mind that ByuN did not turn around with this.
Oh, this is so painful. This did so much damage.
I actually am watching the minimap almost as much as I'm watching that attack because I thought he would already be in the natural. And honestly,
oh my God.
I did say a minute ago these don't usually do that much, and they don't because they just pull the Marines away. But he just lost 16 SCVs, which is an incredible amount.
Yeah.
That's unheard of this early. And even the way that the fight looked, it was like he just turned and he's like, no, here's the SCVs.
Yeah. No, that was...
He did not have enough army behind the SCVs to justify sacrificing some of them to win the battle. And by the way, this is still here. This isn't like the attack's done.
He's sacrificing Marines to get even more SCVs as well. This is a huge advantage for Kier right now. The units that we had out on the map for ByuN did nothing at all. They just sat there. He found no damage whatsoever. Kier has a similar army, but way more economy. His third CC is going to be finishing up. ByuN here is just like making some units.
Yeah. He is... This may be a very straightforward and disappointing loss here for ByuN.
Yeah.
One that basically comes down to poor fundamentals, maybe because of the wrist, I don't know.
Okay, does disable 3 tanks, moves forward. The auto turret's coming down, definitely very helpful. Gonna have to back up for now. Targeting down the siege tanks here is ByuN, very nicely done. Vikings pushing back those medevacs. And yeah, like the attack looked okay, but it's gonna be stopped now. He doesn't have his Ravens anymore.
Honestly,
he's trying to force some damage, it's just not working.
If you're the defending Terran, this is kind of the dream. Is they're just running around an obstacle course you set up and they're taking hits everywhere and they can't survive the gauntlet of your siege tanks and Marines. And ByuN now is behind in 2 different ways. He has a smaller army that is not as good because there's more technical units here for Kier, and he's down in workers by a lot.
He's got a good Marine count. He's got a good medevac count. Hopefully he can do something with that.
The fact that he circumvented the Vikings may mean this is an opportunity. I was going to say the Vikings usually stop the drops from really being effective, which is what I meant with better units. But
he's slaughtering this.
No, this is yeah.
Oh man.
GG.
That's kind of a heartbreaker. The first 4 games definitely really cool ones. This one,
not a great game.
It seemed like ByuN just wasn't all there.
Kier
cleans him up.
Kier moves on. ByuN's story ends here.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
I'm in a bad mood. I'm feeling sad now.
I feel sad too.
Yeah, it's like his wrist was hurting, but it's like that's not Kier's fault. And yeah, I mean, it's and, you know, I think ByuN's still a great player, but playing 1 best of 5 in a day is absolutely necessary if you're going to be continuing to be a professional player.
Absolutely.
You know. Yeah. We're going to have an interview now with Kier, or Victor. He's going to move on to the round of 16 GSL Code S, as we are now in Code A. Then we're going to have a short break here, and then we're going to go to our final best of 5.
Wow, after a long, fierce neck-and-neck TVT match, it is Cure of Dragon Phoenix Gaming taking the win. Congratulations. Thank you. Well, today the match definitely wasn't easy, but how do you feel advancing to the round of 16 Code S? Well, I did expect the game to be hard, and this was an offline match in a long time. I made a lot of mistakes, so I knew that I might not be able to advance, but I think the opponent was feeling very nervous, so I think that's why I was able to win. I mean, yes, your opponent ByuN is very strong in terms of micro and his quick strategies. So how did you feel playing against him today? Well, he's a phenomenal player for sure. So I try to prepare for those unorthodox strategies, but I couldn't use them a lot in the matches. And then I did opt for the macro, and although it was hard, and I was feeling quite nervous too, but in the end I was somehow able to win. Well, you're very determined today, Cure, especially in Romanticide. I'm sure you were quite disappointed in that game. You know, yes, I mean, it's a tournament, so I was feeling nervous, so I was able to, I was making some trivial mistakes in the game. But I think overall, I think you were able to anticipate the opponent's timings very well. You know, like I was gaining confidence as the game progressed, and I think that was very instrumental to my overall win today.
올 초 IEM 24강은 사실 기대했던 것보다는
So,
예상이 못 미쳤던
this year in
그런
IEM
결과가
Katowice,
많이 아쉬우셨을
I'm sure you had a pretty
올해는
disappointing result
어떻게 보내고 싶으신가요?
in the round of 24. So, how do you want to spend your day today?
올해도
spend your
저번처럼 일단 시즌을
year
잘하고
this year.
싶고 이번 연도는 좀 큰데
Well, I just want to gain good results, and I'll try to have better results in big tournaments. Well, Cure will definitely look forward to your plays in the future. So, anything you want to say before you go?
만족스럽진 않지만 그래도
Well, today my result
올라갔는데
wasn't
16
satisfactory,
강에서 좋은 경기 보여드리도록
but from the round of 16, I'll try to show a better
다시 한번
performance.
진출 축하드립니다.
Once again, congratulations. Thank you.
자, 이렇게 김도욱 선수 만나봤는데요. 계속해서
All right, here moves on, and my emotions are all over the place with that with
You're a
that
very
ByuN
emotional
loss.
guy, yeah.
Yes. But hey, I'm wishing ByuN the best in the future. I hope he can get, I don't know what treatment he needs, but I hope he can get whatever he needs
Yeah.
for that.
Hope to see him in better shape for next season.
Yeah,
it's sad
for
to
sure.
see him out in Code A because I think his level of play minus wrist issues is like round of 8.
I agree. Guys, short break. We come back. Our final best of 5. Don't go away.